Hello, hello, hello. I am Roger Billingsley-Hayes. I live here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We're really glad to have this opportunity to be with you all on today and to invite you into our kitchen. I am a pastor, but I am also a chef. And I own a company called Elite Eats by RE. And we have the wonderful privilege of operating a food truck called WutYaSay. So one of our little fun things that we do on the food truck is we say what you say, what you cooking up in there today. Well, today we are cooking up some great stuff, and we're just so grateful for Positive Wellness Alliance and the wonderful opportunity that we all have and those who are in need in the community to shop there at the food pantry. And one of the great ideas that the wonderful staff there at Positive Wellness Alliance has had is to create an opportunity for individuals to not just come to the food pantry and get food, but to really do some practical applications of the food that we are able to get. So what are some things that we can do? Sometimes we may go to the food pantry and we get some items and we go, I don't know what to do with that. So I chose today to pick some stuff that it's not necessarily the common things, not just chicken breast or just chicken legs or such, but we've got some different types of items that I want to take an opportunity to show you how to prepare those in an easy way. And listen, if you can eat it, you can cook it. Now I want you to hear me say that again. If you can eat it, you can cook it. Don't be afraid of food. Don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to try new things. Now, before I really get started, I need to get my apron because I need you to know that my son says that I am the world's best dad ever. And I think he's right. So I'm gonna put my apron on and we're gonna get it gloved up and we're gonna talk about what we're cooking up in here today. Again, also, let me say this. I have the wonderful privilege of working here in the community with a great organization called AHF, or AIDS Healthcare Foundation. We're a national organization that literally we're all over the world, national and international, the largest HIV/AIDS organization in the world. We do a lot of great work in communities, operating clinics and food pantries. We also operate second closets. And some of the other things that we do is to really advocate for the community, to make sure that the things that we are needing, not just in the day-to-day, such as what Positive Wellness Alliance does, but also from a legislative standpoint, where we're very mindful about the needs around Congress, around amendments, around laws and ways that we are wanting to protect our community as a whole. One of our big initiatives right now is what we call VOW, or Vaccinate the World Now. And so we're really operating big time, trying to help our Congress and our elected officials understand the importance of vaccinating everybody all over the world, helping to get these vaccines out to where that nobody, nowhere is left unvaccinated. All right, so this right here is us. Stand Against Hate is a wonderful slogan of ours right now, and we truly do believe that. All right, so let's see what we got going on. So what are you cooking up in there today? Well, we are going to start with a nice little appetizer with these seafood crab cakes from Food Line. I believe is where those came from. It's 4 crab cakes, and we're going to fix those up. And we're also going to jazz them up and make a Cajun remoulade sauce. And we're going to put those on a bed of lettuce, so we're going to make that. We're also going to do a pan-seared salmon, okay? And so again, salmon is one of those things that oftentimes we may see that in the food pantry. I don't know what to do with that if it's not in a can, and I'm going to make a salmon patty. Come on, somebody. But a fillet of salmon, we have no clue what to do. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And they're very easy and very simple to make and enjoyable. We're also going to go back home and do some country stuff, y'all. Come on. We're going to fry up some pork chops. We're going to make a little gravy. Some country-style green beans and some mashed potatoes to go with that. And believe it or not, I'm going to try to keep you entertained for about 45 minutes, and we should have all of this made in about that length of time. Now, what do you think about that? Well, that's the art of cooking. We're going to do some asparagus as well. And so we're just excited about this great opportunity. We're going to make a great salad too. So we're just going to do some fun stuff in here today. And we're going to start right now. We'll go ahead and getting our crab cakes ready to go into the oven. They're very simple. What am I going to do? Follow the directions. That's a great place to start, just simply by following the directions. And the directions tell me that I'm going to cook these in the oven on 400 for about 10 to 12 minutes is what they said, okay? And so we're going to trust them on that. And in the meantime, we will just simply, we'll put them on our pan. Just as so. There, that's all we're going to do with them. Now, that's all the directions say do with them. But Roger is Roger. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a little butter to them. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something. You can't go wrong with butter. Anything with butter is something good to eat. Now, I am a true advocate of butter. I never use margarine, and that is just simply because margarine is just not good for you. It is better to use butter than margarine, but I also understand the realities around cost. That oftentimes you can buy 4 sticks of margarine for 89 cents, and that butter costs $2.99 for those 4 sticks. And so I understand that. But if you can, splurge and do for yourself, always try to use butter if you can. So what I just simply did was put a little butter on the top of these, and what that will simply do is just moisten them more and give them a nice little crisp finish on the end. Is how that sounds. All right? We're gonna stick these right on in a 400-degree oven. Already preheated my oven, so now those are gone, okay? Here in this bowl, what I have prepared here is some mayonnaise. I put a ½ cup of mayonnaise in this bowl. With that, I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of Obay's seafood seasoning or Obey seasoning. Add 1 teaspoon of that to it. Then I am going to add, oftentimes we see these little packs in the food pantry. This right here is fresh dill. So I'm gonna add some fresh dill to that. Again, this is something that a lot of times we didn't grow up eating. We don't know that much about. What does that taste like? Well, one of the great things that I want to encourage you on today, taste stuff. Don't be afraid to try different things, new flavors, new things. So I don't know how to cook with that. Well, because you don't know what it tastes like. And so one of the great things to do, it won't kill you, it's food. So just taste it. And once you taste it, you can say, I wonder what that can go in. And then your friend is always Google. Google is a great place to look up some of these things and to find out how it is used. And what I'm simply doing is I'm just gonna finely chop some of these leaves to where I will end up with about a ½ teaspoon of fresh dill. Now you can also use dill in a dried dill. You can also use that, but today we're just gonna throw a little bit of fresh dill in there, and we're gonna use some more dill in just a little bit with our at the end with our salmon. Dried dill comes in containers such as this, all right? And you see it says dill weed, and that's dried. And so that's just another example. And sometimes you'll see these types of items in the pantry. So don't be afraid to get you some herbs and everything so that you can start trying these different items, okay? All right, so let's stir it up. All right. How many items do we put in there? 3. Mayonnaise, a little bit of Obay's, a teaspoon of Obay's, and a ½ teaspoon of fresh dill. And now our final item we're going to add, and you can do fresh lemon or you can do lemon juice. Today I'm going to do lemon juice. Sometimes you'll find lemon juice in there, and as you know, it'll last you for a while unless you make lemonade like I do on the regular. All right, we are going to add to this a ½ teaspoon of lemon juice, okay? Just a ½ teaspoon of lemon juice. The acid of the lemon juice works really nice with the creaminess of the mayonnaise, and so it just adds just a nice little wop. And we'll just stir that right up right there. And we're done, and it looks just like that, all right? So we'll just set this to the side, okay? And we'll be ready for that. We're gonna go ahead and turn our pan on here so that we can start getting it hot to fry our pork chops in. In the meantime, discard that. We are going to peel our potatoes real quick so that we can get them on to boil. In order to make this happen, we're gonna have to multitask, all right? Now, some kitchen tools that I think are very important. This right here is a wonderful little tool to have. They look different kinds of ways. They all don't look the same. But this right here is just simply a peeler or a slicer, some people may call them. But I like them. I use them all the time. I've already washed these potatoes. Very important. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel off part of the peeling. I'm not going to peel it completely because I like the nutrients that's in the peeling. The more of that you leave on, the better. Just simply because it's nutritious, okay? And one of the things that we want to be sure that we're doing when we are in the kitchen is not just, now, whenever we go to fast food and we go to Burger King or McDonald's and those places, we're getting what we're getting. But when we take time in the kitchen, then we are able to really make sure that we are preparing nutritious meals. So we want to do whatever we can to make sure that we're staying away from as many of those pre-processed, pre-packaged types of foods that we just throw in the microwave or whatever. But if we're going to take the time in the kitchen, let's cook stuff that's going to be healthy. Is that all right? So we're going to make sure we have that, okay? We have our pot here that we're going to use for our potatoes. I'm going to set that right here for myself. We're going to take our knife and rinse that deal off. Won't hurt a thing, but we're going to just rinse it off anyway. Now, when I'm going to boil potatoes for mashed potatoes, I don't care what they look like, because I'm going to mash them up anyhow, right? So I try to slice them as small as I can, or less, so that it takes less time for the boiling, okay? So the smaller I can slice them up, the quicker they'll boil up, and we'll be ready to go. In the kitchen, to me, cooking is fun. And one of the reasons that cooking is fun is because I enjoy what good food does to people and does for people. I have a little slogan. I say, good food that makes the soul smile. And there's something about good food that you cannot eat good food and be mad. You can't eat good food and be upset and angry, folks. But good food will cause you to calm down, sit down, and get quiet. Come on, somebody. I think there was a reason Jesus did many of his miracles around food. And so we enjoy food, and we love what food is able to do for people. Not just the fact that it's nourishing to the body, but also it is good for the soul. So a couple other little quick things that I want to share with you all. Again, I always did say about wanting to encourage you to not be afraid to try things, trying different kinds of foods, different things that are outside of the box. Well, Mama never made that. Well, hey, maybe it's because Mother didn't have access or resource, or she didn't have YouTube, or she didn't have Chef Roger showing her how to do it over YouTube and online today like you do. And so don't be afraid to try new things, new flavors, new tastes. Sometimes we've had something in the past and we just really didn't like it. Well, maybe it was just because of the way it was prepared. Maybe it was overcooked. Just like we're going to make asparagus today, and I know a lot of people would turn their nose up at asparagus, but we love asparagus here in my house. And so we make asparagus on a regular basis. We grill it on the grill, we fry it up in a pan, and our favorite way is to take about 6 pieces of asparagus, wrap it in bacon, and then throw it in the oven and cook it that way with a little bit of kosher salt. And it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful. So bacon wrapped asparagus, we love it. Absolutely love it. All right. So we put some water in here, as you already know. Now, what I'm always going to do when I cook potatoes is I'm going to add salt to my potatoes at this point. I don't wait and salt them after. I salt them now because potatoes will take in the salt and they will just taste so much better that way than they are if I wait and put the salt in after they're done. Same thing if I'm going to make potato salad, I'm going to do the same way. I'm going to salt my potatoes first, and it makes all the difference in that potato salad. Hear me now. All right, so let's see now, what's next? So we've got our potatoes on. Our crab cakes have about another 7 minutes, and they'll be about ready to be done. Our grease is on for us to fry our pork chops. So let's talk about our pork chops, okay? So these are a Boston butt cut. Certainly these are not a prime pork chop, okay? These, they have a bone in them, which is just fine. No problem with that at all, okay? So we're gonna use our pan here just so that I can lay them out. Now, there's two different thoughts whenever you're talking about frying chicken, frying pork chops. There's two different ways, and there's schools of thought, let's say it like that, where some people like to season their flour mix and they don't season their meat. So all their seasoning is in the flour and it holds on in that way. Well, I don't do mine that way. I like mine to be, I like to season my meat and I'm gonna season my flour, okay? Because it just adds more flavor to me. Now, a staple in my kitchen is granulated garlic. I use garlic all the time. It is in just about everything I cook. There's gonna be some garlic, okay? Now, what I wanna encourage you when buying garlic, try your best to stay away from garlic salt, okay? Because when you use garlic salt or you use a seasoning that it already has salt in it, unlike, now if I'm using seasoning salt, I know that's salt. But let's say I'm gonna use seasoning salt and my garlic has salt in it also. Very quickly, I can end up with too much salt in my food, okay? And not enough of the flavors that I really was wanting in the food. So I use granulated garlic, stay away from garlic salt. And we're just gonna granulate these, put some garlic on there, okay? All right. Then I am going to grab another staple in my kitchen is sage. Now, I know we thought sage was only for turkey dressing. It was only a Thanksgiving herb, right? Well, I don't agree with that. I use sage on a regular basis. Now, I don't use it excessively. I don't use a whole lot on my stuff, but I like the flavor of sage and it's good for your body, okay? Set that there. All right, so at this point we've put garlic. We have put our sage on there. And now we're gonna talk about our breading. Now, sometimes you will see these different types of breaders in the pantry. This right here is the House of Audrey chicken breader. Now, we're gonna do pork chops, but this chicken breader is great for chicken, for pork chops, really about anything that you would fry. This chicken breader is really good for that. They also make a seafood breader, which is really good for fish. If you're gonna fry fish, it's really good for that, okay? We're gonna add a little pepper to it. Now this breader is already seasoned, so you don't have to add much more to that, but I'm gonna add that little bit of pepper, add me a little bit of garlic to it again, because I love garlic, and they say garlic is really good for you. Now that's what they say. All right, and then we're going to add this Montreal chicken seasoning. Again, these are things that not always will it be in the pantry, but sometimes you'll come and you'll see these various items. And so I just want you to know that if you don't see them in the pantry, you got a little extra money, then certainly you can buy these, have them in your kitchen so that whenever you cook some various things, you'll have it be ready to go. Just don't be afraid. Now, Roger, I have never used Montreal chicken seasoning. I have no clue what that tastes like. Taste it. Put you a little bit on a spoon, on your hand, and sprinkle it on there and taste it so that you can see what it tastes like. Because when you're using new seasonings, and this is for any and everybody, anytime you use a seasoning you've never used before, you need to know what's in it. You need to know what the flavors are, what would go with it, because once you taste this seasoning raw, then you'll know that it does have a good amount of salt in it. It has onion powder in it. It does have garlic. It has some pepper. It has parsley in there. But when you taste it, you'll know, now when I go to add this to my meat, this is how much of that I need to add because it was a little more salty than I expected, okay? So those are the kinds of things that you can get to find out, all right? So I'm gonna shake that up just a little bit, and we are ready to roll these good boys right on into this flour. And I know everybody's household is different. Some people like more salt, just like the taste of salt, and they tend to, for someone else, they may say oversalt their foods. And I think a lot of reasons why we tend to oversalt is because sometimes the only thing we know is salt and pepper. We don't know any other flavors. We don't know other seasonings. And so when we can begin to venture out and trying some of these other seasonings, we can find that we can maybe cut back some on the salt and change that out for some of the other great flavors that are out there for us to be able to get and try. All right? Well, our pan is good and hot, so it is ready for us to lay these good boys right on in to there. We're making sure we got them floured well. These will not take long to fry up. There we go. Now, something I hope you noticed, that I was careful when I laid them in the pan, and you want to always be careful so as not to spill and splatter all over yourself, okay? I'm going to turn this pan, well, I got it on 5. I think I'm pretty good with that, actually. I am a firm believer that we eat first with our eyes. We eat first with our eyes and then with our mouth. So I like things that look good and are pretty, all right? Our crab cakes are just about ready, so no, I had not forgotten about those, okay? All right, we're gonna make some rice, but we're gonna do a mint rice, so that's gonna be real simple, okay? We got this box there at the pantry. And so most of you all have made minute rice before, so I won't have to go into a whole lot about that. I think one of the key things about making minute rice is just simply to follow the direction and take them off the heat. Once that water boils and you put the rice in there, put the lid on it, take it off the heat, okay? Now, I am one of those that I live by a gas stove. I love gas. Making minute rice, you know, it's 1 to 1. 1 cup of rice, 1 cup of water, okay? And so we'll start, we'll go ahead and put us a cup of, and we're only gonna make 1 cup. We'll put that water in the pot. We'll turn that on, and we'll let that come to a boil. Then we will add our cup of minute rice to it and then just turn it off, okay? Now, if you want to add any other seasonings to it, you can do so. But today I am not, because I don't want the rice to overpower what we're going to be doing with the salmon, okay? All right. Let's see here. I don't know about you, but I love that sound. Our potatoes are boiling, so that's a good thing. All right, let's take a look here. All those are looking real good. Now, I know we're at that time limit that the directions said, but I want to let them cook just a smidgen longer because I want them to crust up a little bit for me, okay? In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and dress our plate for you, okay? So, as I said, we eat with our eyes first, right? So, let's do some fun stuff. Now, in the pantry, a lot of times we will see these boxes of lettuce, fresh greens. These are definitely, generally, they're quite different from just iceberg. It'd be a lot of different mixtures. This one right here is a 50-50 mixture. And so, has some spinach in there, fresh spinach, as well as, let's see, it has baby spinach, has baby lettuce, baby greens. So, it's really good. It's just some really good salad mix. And so, we're going to do that right there. Just simple. Look at there. You see that nice little brown, okay? And see how that butter is just doing what it, let me tell you something. It's doing what it do, baby. All right. And now we're just gonna simply plate this up. Y'all hear them pork chops carrying on? They carrying on, baby. All right. Now our little arugula sauce that we made, we're just gonna put us a dollop right here in the middle, just like that. And I sliced us up some fresh lemon. Just gonna put a slit. I cut them in the round. I'm gonna put a slit in the middle of that so I can give it a nice little twist. And plop that right up there. And let's just take us a sprig of this dill and stick it right there. And there we go. All right. What do y'all think about that? All right. That looks like a great little appetizer. Looks like something you would get from Village Tavern or wherever. But you got this from the food pantry. You came home and made it do what it do, baby. Woo. All right. So let's set this to the side. Now listen, we're going to eat in just a few minutes. Oh, yes, we are. We ain't doing all this cooking just to make it pretty for nobody. We going to have us some of this good food. All right, our pork chops are coming along quite nicely. We're going to pull these 3 chops out of the grease. They are ready. And just transfer them to a plate. All right, y'all. Here we go. There's our pork chops, okay? We're going to set those to the side. We're going to turn our burner off. Look at our potatoes. They're doing great. We're going to get a little cup, a little bowl, something that is safe for me to pour some of this grease off. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make gravy. Now, I know, but I'm going to teach you how to make gravy today. It's not hard to make it all. It's actually simple to make. It's all about in the know-how, okay? And I know how. Okay, so let's pour off some of this grease because we don't need all of that. Y'all know how mama does? She say that grease for later, right? You know, y'all know. Some of us got a whole grease pan in the house, right? All right, so we have kept some of this, some of the grease in our pan. And as I'm just kind of show you, I only kept about that much of it, okay? Got some of those good ends and some of those drippings from off from where I cooked the pork chops, okay? Now what we're gonna do is get our flour. Okay, this is just all-purpose flour, okay? And we're just gonna add some to this. Now, with the amount of grease that I have left in the pan, I'm gonna add probably about a third cup of flour is about what I'm gonna add in there. And I'm just gonna sprinkle that around in the pan. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let this start to brown, okay? So I'm going to start cooking my flour. Before I add any water or anything else, I'm just going to let it start browning. Now in some cultures, in some different ways, we may call this making a roux. You know, you can call it that if you wanted to. But that's what we're gonna do, okay? All right. All right, just a little bit of this grease back to that. So you tried to make gravy one time and it just turned out so lumpy. It was just a mess, right? You know, well, that's because you didn't let it cook long enough. Okay, this is the step right here that's going to prevent the lumps. Okay, it's not necessarily all in the stirring. It's just really it is in this cooking process right here. Okay, I'm gonna turn these potatoes off. They are done. Okay, they have been boiling long enough, so I know that they're done already. I'm gonna turn them off, and we're gonna just let this just cook up just a little bit longer, okay? Now on them cooking shows on TV, they have people that are standing behind them and to the side of them and they slinging stuff and somebody else is taking care of that. I'm a one-man show, baby. In my kitchen at home, all right? So we're gonna get out what we need and make it do what it do. And as y'all see, I live like you live. I have a kitchen that I cook in on a regular basis, okay? Does it look like some magazine shop? This is a kitchen and this is my home and I've welcomed you into it today, all right? Let's give this a little stir again. Our gravy is coming along real nice. Okay, let's see if I can try something here without hurting me or you. Let's take a look at that, okay? So this is like what we're going for. You see that nice color that we're getting there? Now, we're not making a roux like we were making for a gumbo. So we're not trying to get it real dark and everything, okay? We just want to make sure that our flour is cooked accordingly in the way that we would want it, okay? Now we're ready to add some water to it, okay? But before I add water, I'm gonna add a few seasonings to my gravy, okay? I'm gonna start with just some pepper. We're gonna add, you know, garlic. And we're gonna add a little bit of salt. Oh, that was funny. I told y'all we in my kitchen. We add a little bit of salt. Now we're gonna give it some water. And we'll probably end up adding every bit of 2 cups of water to it, okay? I like to use lukewarm water, okay? Start adding it slow. Grab our whisk. Now whisk it on in. Now we're going to turn it down on low, and we're going to just let that cook, okay? Just let that simmer along now. Just a little more water. All right, now, if you wanted to at this point, let's say, and I'm so glad I wasn't trying to hide nothing with this screen, because now everybody would see it, right? Now, if you wanted to, you could cut up you some onion, and add some onions into that, okay? I'm not gonna do that, so we can move on forward, okay? All right. I'm getting hot in here, y'all. I'm in the kitchen. What you say, all right? Now what we're gonna do is do what I love, add them pork chops. What you say, Roger? What are you doing, sir? What are you doing? But add them pork chops back into that gravy. And just cause I can, let's pour that juice in there. My. I tell you, my mama loved me. Okay, all right, so now we're gonna get ready to start on our pan-seared salmon. Now, the reason I've waited on that, because it does not take long to make this, okay? So we're gonna throw our heat on. Go ahead and we're gonna get this pan good and hot, okay? In the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and drain our potatoes. I'm gonna show y'all how to use a colander. So, most of the time what we do when we're using a colander is we would set this in there and dump everything into it, right? That's usually the way we do it. But if you have a pot and your colander will fit, instead of setting it in that way, set the colander literally in the pot, okay? Because generally you're gonna end up transferring that stuff back into the pot anyway, right? So just set that in the pot, hold it, and drain the water off. Same, you can do that with pasta, anything that you're needing to drain off, that's all you have to do. And now my potatoes are still in the pot. I ain't had to go through all them changes, right? All right, we're gonna set them down there. Now we're gonna go back to this butter. We've got some butter sitting here. I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons of butter into those potatoes. Now, remember, I already salted them, so I don't need to salt them again. They are good to go, okay? All right, I'm gonna add a little bit of pepper to them just because I like pepper. Pork chops are doing great. We've got them down on low. They're gonna be just fine. And let me grab my potato masher. Woo! So I'm just gonna move these around, let that butter melt before I add my cream to them, okay? Perfect, they are perfect. Mashed potatoes are one of those kind of things that are just a great staple, right? They are just wonderful. When you can make them, they're just great. I love them the day after. We like to make potato patties, or potato cakes as my grandmother used to call them. I could use that grease right there. I'll make them patties, and I'll make them cakes with those potatoes. Bread, I'll put a little of that flour on them, just like I use with my pork chops, and fry them with a side of stewed apples. Come on, somebody. And a little bit of bacon. I'm in there like swimwear. All right. So our butter is melted. And now what I'm going to do is use some heavy whipping cream in them, okay? So I'm going to add some heavy whipping cream to my potatoes. Probably about, now I'm going to just say, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to add probably that's about 1/3 of a cup, about 1/2 a cup right there. But you can choose what you want to add. Let that be up to you. You all digital stuff. It's digital stuff. So let that be up to you. You know how creamy you want yours, how you want them. And then the only thing let's do is just mash, okay? Just mash. You can use a mixer if you want to. You can do it that way, or just do them just the way that I'm doing. Okay, turn this off. Check our water here. Okay, it's coming along fine for our rice. Now, again, I'm a garlic freak, right? So I'm gonna add some garlic to my mashed potatoes. So we have garlic mash, right? Just like that, okay? I'll probably add about a teaspoon of garlic, granulated garlic, to it. they are. Just gonna put a lid on them and just let that be right here, okay? We'll just let that rest. In the meantime, our pan is about hot. It's beginning to smoke a little bit, so it's about ready for us to do our salmon. So let's talk about the salmon, okay? So a lot of times whenever we buy fresh salmon, you can buy it in the whole long and you have to cut it, or you buy it in fillets that are already pre-cut for you. Two different ways that we oftentimes see fresh salmon will be with the skin on or skin off. And this particular one has the skin still left on, okay? Which really doesn't matter. It's just a taste, just a preference that different people have with the skin on, the skin off. Even now, if I wanted to, I could just cut that skin right on off. The skin is not like, it doesn't have any shells, let's say it like that, or scales on it, okay? It's already scaled and all of that, so there's nothing wrong with eating that, okay? So I'm not gonna bother with trying to cut it off, but here's what we have. So we have our salmon, all right? So what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna add to that, you know it, a little bit of garlic. Y'all look it up. I guarantee you don't eat enough garlic, okay? So garlic is really good for you, all right? So eat more garlic, okay? So a little of that, all right? And we are going to add to that just a little bit of lemon juice. I'm just gonna just dibble some lemon juice on it, okay? Just like that. I know. All right, our water here is boiling. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and add our cup of minute rice. And somebody can say, now, Pastor, that's the wrong cup to measure a dry cup, because these are wet cups, okay? But it really don't matter that much. It doesn't have to be precise, all right? So we just added our minute rice to that boiling water. I've already turned that off, and I will just let that sit there and do what it's supposed to do, right? Okay. All right, our pan is coming along really nice. Now, we're gonna take our butter, again, and we are just gonna put some plats of butter right on our salmon. And we're gonna start it, we're gonna start the cooking process skin side up, okay? So we're gonna put this side down first into the pan. Now again, if yours does not have skin on it, if you chose to cut the skin off, or you bought it or got it with the skin already cut off, then you don't have to worry about that part, okay? It doesn't matter which side that you start cooking it on, okay? All right, so we're just simply now, we're gonna just lay this into our pan. Now, as I told you, we were making pan-seared salmon. So what that means, in order to sear, I need a hot pan for it to go in. If it's on the grill, if I'm gonna sear something and I'm using my gas grill, then I wanna make sure that it's really good and hot, so that when I lay that piece of meat on there, it's gonna do as that did, going shh. Because what that literally is doing, it is sealing it up, okay? And so you're gonna get a nice little crust on there, and so that's what we're doing right now, okay? And you're going to be amazed at how quick this happens, okay? This does not take long at all, okay? These are not real thick. Sometimes you can get a salmon that's this thick, okay? So it may take a little longer. A lot of times what we may do is, if we have real thick salmon, is that we will sear it like this in the pan, and then we'll take it off and put it onto a cookie sheet and stick it in the oven and finish cooking it in the oven. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, gave that a nice little flip. And now we're gonna let that go for just about a couple more minutes, and y'all, it's done. Can you believe it? Can you believe that? All right. All right, so now we're going to let that finish up, and then we're gonna set that onto a pan for ourselves, and then we're gonna do our asparagus, and then we're gonna make our cream sauce, okay? All right, so our mashed potatoes are made, our rice is made, our gravy and pork chops are made. Can y'all believe it? I mean, time's just flying right on by, right? That is made, okay? And our salmon is ready to come off, okay? Now, one of the things about salmon for a lot of people who maybe have had salmon before, a lot of times it's overcooked, you know? And it's just not good when it's overcooked, you know? So we try not to overcook if we can help it, okay? And today we can help it. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Isn't that pretty? All right, so we're gonna let that sit there and rest for us for a moment. Now, with asparagus, asparagus is really good. Again, we love asparagus. One of the things I want you to note is I've already washed this, so I've already rinsed it. At the bottom end of asparagus, and get this out of the way. Let's show you this. It can tend to be real woodsy, okay? That the texture of it is pretty hard, okay? And that's not good. But if you take a piece of the asparagus and you hold it in your hand and you bend it, where it pops is where it begins to be tender, okay? So this part, I wouldn't want it to eat this, okay? Because this is more woody and hard, okay? So you want to kind of get rid of that. So the easy thing that I oftentimes would do when I'm dealing with a bundle like this is I'll just kind of line mine up. I'll pop one so I can kind of see where they are, and then I'll just go ahead and cut it. So I'm not trying to pop every one of them, okay? So there we go. All right, so now we have our asparagus. And what we're just gonna simply do is throw them in that pan. That same pan we just seared our salmon in. We're gonna throw that right on in there. We're gonna get a little bit of our kosher salt, okay? Kosher salt is coarse, it's larger, it's more in line of like sea salt, okay? So we're gonna use a little bit of the kosher salt, sprinkle some of that in there with it, okay? We're gonna add just a little bit of our lemon juice, just for the acidness of it. And I'm gonna add a tablespoon of butter. One of the other things about asparagus when cooking it is I don't like limp asparagus. I don't like it to be mushy because that ain't good, okay? That ain't good. And for a lot of us, we would say, I don't like asparagus because you had it one time and it was limp and weak and just was kind of slimy-like and just was not good at all. And so we don't like that, okay? And so technically what I am doing here is I'm just al denteing them. In other words, I am cooking them enough to really warm them through, but not enough to break them all down, to where all the fibers are all broke down to where it becomes limp and mushy. Okay, I'm just making them al dente. So they still have a little bite to them, a little crisp to them, okay? And one of the things that I'm looking for when I'm cooking anything al dente, if it's asparagus or green beans or cabbage, anything green that I'm cooking al dente, broccoli, I am looking for color, okay? I'm looking for the color. And what I want to see is a vibrant green, okay? So we already know it's a green vegetable, but when it gets there, when it gets to that point, it turns a nice, bright, almost lime green, okay? And that's what I'm looking for, that nice lime green look, okay? On the other side of that, it'll start turning brown, okay? And you know you're going a little too far, too long. Believe it or not, we are there, okay? So what I'm gonna do is move this salmon over. I'm gonna put the asparagus on the same plate. And this is just for a holder. And in a minute, we're going to actually make our plate. Okay, so that's what I mean when I said I'm talking about that vibrant color. Okay, see that vibrancy of that green there? Okay. Now, one of the things about the asparagus is right there, I probably cooked enough for about 4 people. Okay, so that bundle feeds about 4 people. Okay. Now, while I still have this pan going, I've got butter in this pan. Remember we put some garlic in this pan, and then a little bit of lemon juice went in this pan. Now what we're going to make is our cream sauce. We're going to start with our heavy whipping cream. We're just going to pour some in that pan. Right there, where that was already in there. We're going to add another tablespoon of butter. I'm going to throw a couple slices of lemon in there. Okay. Give it a little bit of a whisk. And I am going to add some of my fresh basil. Or excuse me, fresh dill. The fresh dill to it. A lot of times, now when you're baking, stuff becomes exact, okay? It becomes a real science in baking. But a lot of times in making various things, it's about the consistency, you know, how much do you put in has a lot to do with what kind of flavors you want, okay? So there's not must, so to speak. You have to do it this way. Okay, and lastly, I'm gonna talk about this. This right here is Carr's chicken bouillon flavor, okay? This is the granulated kind, okay? You can also buy it that it's more of like it's thick, it's a block. You can buy it with like a block, a cube, you know? But I keep this as a staple in my kitchen, okay? If you've never used it and you get you some, taste it so you can see the saltiness that it has, what kind of flavor it has, so that when you go to use it in things, you can be careful not to use too much, okay? So that you have that good intellect about it, okay? All right, I'm gonna put a half a teaspoon of this into this. And when I tell you, I just took it to 100. Do you hear me, baby? Just took it to 100. All right, are y'all ready to sit down together? Let's do it. All right. So our rice is ready. And remember, we didn't add anything to the rice. We didn't add butter. We didn't add salt. We left the rice plain because we wanted it not to overpower what we were making. Our salmon and our cream sauce, we had enough other flavors going on to where the rice just becomes a complement, okay? It's not a showstopper, okay? Ain't gonna let it steal the show. So I put our rice in the middle. Now let's take and just set our piece of salmon right on top of that, just like that. Take some of our asparagus, lay it to the side. Let's lay a couple more to this side. Just like that. Move this out of the way. I'm running out of space, y'all. All right. And so then there we have it. Our pan-seared salmon with a creamy garlic lemon sauce, okay? Fresh asparagus and rice. What you think? All right? 2 down. Y'all ready to play that the other? Oh, we in there like swimwear now. Now, what I did do before I came on with you all is I started working on some green beans. So I have some green beans here that I've already seasoned up. They were canned green beans. Some of the things that I like to put in my green beans, garlic, okay? Put some butter in there. I always add just a little bit of apple cider vinegar. Kind of, when I'm using canned green beans, the vinegar just kind of takes away from that canned flavor, you know, that sometimes it can have. I add that, and I add some of this. This is my salt base that I use, okay? So it is ready. Green beans. Try these good old mashed potatoes. What you say? What? I see how nice and creamy those are. I'm trying to tell you. It ain't nothing like doing it. Okay? Our fried pork chops, mashed potatoes and gravy, country style green beans. Y'all, we in there like swimwear. What you say, baby? What you say? All right? How we doing? We doing all right? Well, let's do our last thing, okay? We're gonna make a great salad. This won't take but just a moment, okay? So we got a clean bowl here. We're gonna throw some of our salad mix in the bowl. Probably shouldn't even bother with the bowl. I could have just plated that right on up. I have here some mandarin oranges. Now I know we sometimes see mandarin oranges in the pantry. All right, so we're gonna pour that juice off of those. Okay, and I tell you, just for the sake of what we're doing, how about we go ahead and plate up our salad? Let's just go ahead and plate the salad up. Okay, so you can actually see it. What we got here. Something a little bit different, okay? So we have our nice mound of greens, okay? We pour the juice off of the mandarin oranges, and we're just gonna throw some of them on here. We have some red onions. Just a pretty. We've got some pre-sliced for us. A couple of those on there. And just because we like cucumber, we're gonna throw a little cucumber to the side. Okay. And a couple cherry tomatoes. And we're gonna finish this off with something that I was amazed to see at the pantry, cashews. What? We're just gonna drop a few cashews on there, just like that. Now, if you wanted to, you could toast these for about 5 minutes in like a 350, 400 degree oven. You could just toast those if you wanted to. And brings out a nice bright flavor out of them if you toast them a little bit. And we are going to dress this salad with a poppy seed dressing. Now I know, I know, it's not ranch, okay? But this is poppy seed. And so you've seen it in the grocery store probably. You know, poppy seed dressing is really good. It's sweet, so it's not like ranch either. It has a sweet flavor to it, so it'll go very well with our mandarin oranges, okay? So we're just gonna add, and you don't need much. Just like that. All right, so let's see if we can clean up some of all this stuff I've got here everywhere. Finish that off with a little piece of deal on it. Y'all don't tell nobody. I got stuff everywhere, right? But if Rachel Ray can do it, you can do it. Trust me, all right? So this is our meals today, all right? So here we have our crab cake with a Cajun remoulade sauce that we put on there, okay? Which was a great little appetizer. Then we have our pan-seared salmon with a cream sauce, a butter lemon cream sauce with fresh dill there, on a bed of rice and sauteed fresh asparagus, okay? Then we have our good old country meal right here. Country style green beans, mashed potatoes, fried pork chop, and gravy. Look at that. Don't see no lumps in them gravy, baby. And then just a nice salad, okay? Doesn't that look so refreshing on a wonderful lunch? You could take and you could add a piece of chicken breast to this. I'm gonna tell you something else you could add to this too. That other piece of salmon, you could lay that right on top of that. It would be good eating. So again, I am Roger Hayes. I'm so glad to have this opportunity to be with you all on today. I hope that you've learned something and have enjoyed this time that you've spent with me. Again, I am the North Carolina Mobilizer for AIDS Healthcare Foundation, and we're just so glad to be a part and to partner in all the ways that we do with Positive Wellness Alliance. I'm grateful for the vision of Positive Wellness Alliance to wanting to do such as this, and I hope they'll have me back again. I had a dessert idea too that I thought about making on today, and so we can do that the next time. We'll make some dessert. Let's do this again, okay? Again, I'm the owner of WutYaSay Food Truck and Elite Eats by RE. Y'all take care. Thank you. Let's dig in. Wait a minute. Let's dig in. I tell y'all now, I want to try some of this. Are you still going? All right, so let's see what we got here. Let's start here with this, with our crab cakes, a little bit of that sauce. Oh, just perfect. Perfect. That's delicious. That's delicious. As my mother-in-law says, All right, let's see how this asparagus is coming along, y'all. See what we got going on here. I wish you could hear that crunch in my head. Absolutely delicious. Oh, this salmon is wonderful. Looks great. That's really good. Just the natural sweetness of the salmon, coupled with that bitterness or the tang of the lemon. Oh, that's really good. That's really good. All right. And y'all, when I was at the Pantry, I saw these pork chops. I said, I know I want to make some pork chop. Look at that. Mashed potato. Somebody said Jesus is alive. That's real good right there. That's real good. That's real good. Let's see here. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I'm gonna eat when I get off this camera. Y'all don't hear me? Absolute perfection. Really, really good. Didn't take long, did it? And we have made this many different meals. And so, good luck to you and your family. Good cooking. Remember, if you can eat it, you can cook it. Take care.